My name is Wayne Furphy. I'm the chairman of the St. Francis Property Owners non-for-profit company and the St. Francis Property Owners Association. You know, it was really important for us to restore these beaches on St. Francis. St. Francis is a seaside town, and without a beach, you can't call yourself a seaside town. Tourism is a big part of our local economy, and as is holidaymakers. Holidaymakers own some 80% of properties here, and for them to come here as opposed to choose any other town, we've got to have a beach. So we often get asked about why the groynes and what are they supposed to do. And groyne fields are common around the world. The groyne itself is a pile of rock that goes perpendicular to your beach out into the sea. And its primary purpose is to hold sand. Here in St. Francis, there's most of our sand has been eroded off the beach, either up the coast or into the river from the south to the north. So putting the groynes in to slow that current down, any sediment and sand sediment sitting in the current is going to drop down to the seabed and build up our beaches. We will also be dredging, and we want to retain the sand that we dredge onto those beaches as far as we can. So when we set out with this, with constructing these groynes, this started, as I said earlier, about July last year, and the environmental authorization is very specific about which groynes we can build and in what sequence. So the first groyne that we built was, should have been what we call NG6, which is on the Crom River. At the same time, there was a need to extend the revetment on the spit by 60 meters. To avoid contractors not having enough sort of room to both construct at the same time, Wilson Bailey Homes, who are constructing the groyne, started on groyne number 1, which is the one off Laura Road near Main Beach. They started that, and the idea they would go as far as they could until groyne number 6 was available for them to start. They'd done about 100 meters on groyne 1, and then stopped work on that and moved to groyne number 6. Groyne number 6 is 240 meters long. It's our most important groyne. It's between the river mouth and our beaches. And I think that the construction of that went really well. And from there we moved to groyne number 5, which is the angled groyne at the southern end of the spit. And the reason that it's angled is to give more protection to the spit, the beach, and the spit revetment and dunes. As you know, there were a lot of storms in the last few weeks. We're very lucky we didn't have a major storm during the whole construction period up until now, which enabled us to, at least Wilson Bailey, to complete groynes 5 and 6, which are really important. So they restarted on groyne 1, but with those storms, it was necessary to come back to groyne number 5 and effect some repairs. Now let me just explain why. We had parallel to the groyne construction been dredging sand from the river mouth onto the spit. We're very lucky, we got about 70,000 cubes of sand deposited there through all the easterly winds we had in November, December last year, which was a real bonus. So we put probably another 30,000 or 40,000 cubes on that area. And you would have seen quite a nice white beach had formed there. From there we went to the southern side of groyne 5, and we needed to start dredging there, and about 30,000 to 40,000 cubes are put in there, because while the groynes keep the sand protects the groynes, and you need it on both sides. So our northern side, which doesn't get affected too much of groyne 5, had a lot of sand. The southern side didn't. And but we had some sand in there, and so the only damage to groyne 5 was at the end and about 50 meters up. If we'd had more time to put more sand there, probably would have been less damage. So that has been our challenge right now, is that these groynes are still under construction. When you get hit by storms, you're very vulnerable. But it's been a severe test. They say that the rainstorms 2 weeks ago was a 1 in 100, 1 in 200 year occurrence. So we've had a proper test on on these groynes, and it's probably a good time. Okay, so the groynes and the groyne field are the things that people see most and get most questions, but equally important is how to get the sand onto the beaches, and we call that sand nourishment. So nourishment is provided by a dredger. We had the dredger custom built. It's a large dredger, much bigger than what you see in the canals and what they've used in the canals. And the idea is to dredge about 1,000 cubes of sand in an 8-hour day. If we are able to dredge longer, we can obviously increase that significantly. So the dredger has around about 5 kilometers of pipe. It's about 1.5 to 2 kilometers from the river, various points in the river, including the river mouth, to the spit and to south of NG5, which is the angle Groyne. Where we're going further, we will have a booster pump position near the pump house, and that will be an electric pump, so that'll be silent. Most people haven't heard the dredger. It's fairly quiet, it's muffled, and we did that intentionally, that it wasn't intrusive to the surrounding community. To date, we're very pleased with the performance of the dredger and the dredging crew, and you would have seen the benefit of that as the amount of sand coming onto our beaches from the dredger. It's probably worth understanding that the original design of these groynes was a 6-groyne field. And we had asked our consulting engineers whether a 4-groyne solution would do as well as a 6-groyne solution. They did model it, and it appeared that without changing the length of the groynes, that a 4-groyne solution could well serve our purpose. So that's what we've committed to. We originally raised the money for the first 3, we raised additional funding for the 4th groyne, and that's been committed to. We're going to wait and see whether we need a 5th groyne and a 6th groyne over time. And the trade-off is really the amount of sand we lose. It was always planned to lose about 5% per annum to feed the northern beaches up towards Paradise Beach. If we can achieve that through 4 groynes, it's less rock in our bay, it's cheaper for us. So that's what we're hoping. We also get asked, what's this going to look like in 5 to 10 years' time? Well, hopefully, the groynes will be fully bedded down. The beaches, many of you have seen the beach on the spit. The idea is that you want to get the sand up at the design level for 50 meters, which on the spit was the height of the revetment on that spit. 50 meters out, and then a 1 in 10 slope into the sea. What you don't see here is a sand accumulation under the water, and that is what's going to take these big breakers further and further away from these beaches and from the groynes. That is also what provides us our recreational opportunities: surfing, swimming, pedal skiing, and so on. And so we'd love to see 4 or 5 beaches, big beaches like we used to see them, but we also want to see a surfing mecca here. There's going to be a number of surfing zones. I think we're going to see with these rocks, they're going to bring all sorts of sea life that we haven't seen for a long time. So just in terms of harvesting some of that, diving, just enjoying it, that's what we hope to see in 5 to 10 years. A project of this nature can never be done without securing its source of funding. And there's 2 primary sources of funding. There's one that comes through the levy that the village and the canal property owners are paying as part of the SRA. And that has raised about half of what we need, maybe a bit more than that. The second source of funding has come from non-SRA sources, and that is other organizations such as the Crom Joint River Committee and the River Estates have contributed. The Riparians, which is the Canal Homeowners Association, have contributed, and then a number of individuals. Just a massive thank you to all of those people that contributed. It accelerated this project very significantly, and just given those storms, I think it saved a lot of of the vulnerable areas of this town. Just going back to the beginning, why do we set out on this journey? The reason is that St. Francis Bay is a special place. Man, it's worth fighting for. set out in something we called the Vision 2030 for St. Francis Bay back in 2016. What did we want our town to look like by 2030? And we wanted to be just a world-class lifestyle destination. It's got all the attributes for that. It's got the ocean, it's got the seaside, it's got navigable rivers, it's got an extensive canal network, it's got golf courses, it's got an air park, it's got the only privately run port in this country, it's got a lighthouse, it's got surfing to die for, it's got ski boat and fishing and hiking, and I can go on. And that's why we love this town and why we want to keep it as close to the best it can be. That's why it's worth fighting for. In saying that, there's been a lot of people that have been involved in bringing us this far. In the two organisations, the Ratepayers Association, which is a committee, and the non-for-profit company, which is the SFPO SRA. We've got to thank all those people that had given up a lot of time over the past 8 years. And without them, we wouldn't be here today. So you all know who you are. Thanks, guys. And let's carry on pushing forward.